Hello everyone, welcome to the preview for the game. It's Manchester United versus Brighton. Another home game in the Premier League, Shreyas. And just to start you off with a quick stat, Manchester United have lost 5 of their last 6 Premier League games against Brighton, including both meetings at Old Trafford in that run. Only against Man City twice have they lost 3 in a row at home in the competition. So the term bogey team is well in play here. And given Brighton's record against us in the recent years in general, should we be worried about this game, do you think?
I think we definitely need to be worried because Brighton are also a team that I would say are very close when it comes to the points tally. They are one of the teams that are really, really close to us. So if we are actually able to nab some points against them, would do us a lot of favors when you look at it from the perspective that we do want to move into the top half of the table. So Brighton are going to be a team where we need to go in there and actually get the 3 points. They have been a very tricky opponent for us. I think the last time I even remember us beating Brighton was when we still had Ronaldo. Ever since then, don't even have a faint memory of us actually getting the better of Brighton. The only time I think we did was in the FA Cup where we won on pens against them.
Yeah,
But
Lindelof.
yeah, yeah. But apart from that, I don't have even a distant memory of having a game where we look good and comfortable against Brighton. And this, for some reason, whenever they come to Old Trafford or even mostly when they come to Old Trafford, they play with a lot more confidence than we
Mm.
do. And this was the same case that happened last season. And right now, we are in that sort of position where l- a loss will hurt this team a lot because it's about some time that this team has got some momentum in. Draw against Liverpool, win against Arsenal, now win against Southampton. I don't even remember a run of 3 games where we didn't manage to get a loss in this season. I think this is the first time that this has actually happened. So if we go to if now against Brighton, if we end up losing those points, it's going to completely demoralize the team altogether again, and then you back to square one. So this is genuinely a very big game for us.
Mm. I mean, we've had more reality checks than anyone, I'd say at the minute. The game yesterday, or Thursday, whenever it was, I'm losing track of days, because this is technically going out on a Saturday, so I'm thinking not yesterday, Thursday. It was a funny old game because it's kind of like you go into it, and United fans kind of expected it a little bit. It was kind of that
Yeah,
sense of doubt, whether it's 20% or 10%, going into it. But it's like, surely this is the worst team in the league. You've got to go. You've got at Old Trafford. It's got to be a comfortable win. Now the scoreline in the end said 3-1, but that isn't what it suggests. It was, Southampton genuinely dominated us a lot at Old Trafford, which is a massive, massive worry. So yeah, it was. I was going to ask the case of, was we really bad or was they really good? But like you said, you only managed to catch on the highlights because of you had a busy day and
yeah,
what have you. But that is very worrying, isn't it, against a team like Southampton?
it is. And I think a lot of us expected this to happen as well because this is typical United fashion to, be able to turn up against the big teams, play better football, look better than those teams, and then playing against a team that is nowhere near to the races this season and, pull this sort of a performance. I think the one thing that is still better, actually worked out for us is that we still managed to get the 3 points. Because
Mm.
earlier on, we probably would have lost or drawn that game, and that would have hurt us even more. And I, I think the way we finished that game was quite strong. I did see snippets of, a few players actually being able to hold their own, looking good on the field, but there were a lot of worrying signs. I think a
Yeah,
lot of players even looked, I would say, fatigued.
yeah,
Ever since the game started, it looked like they have they're knackered since the
yeah,
start of since the very get go of the game. And apart from that, the same worrying signs that when Ahmad is not playing in that inside 10 position and someone else comes to fill in for him in that position, there is a void in that game. There is a void in those positions. So there are concerning signs, but I think the more we go into this season now with Amorim, these things will be more prevalent, that we do need more additions into this team. We do need more quality into this team. And that's why this is a very good opportunity for these players, because the ones who perform right now would still be able to make their contention for the team, because by the time next season rolls in, I'm expecting a lot of chopping and changing in this team
yeah.
during the next summer window. So this is the probably the time where these guys can either cement their position or they'll be transfer listed before they even get an opportunity to showcase themselves in preseason next year.
I think rotation is a massive question mark for me in this one. I always think like when we even slightly rotate, whether it be Newcastle, I'm sure there's other games that people can kind of reference, but we don't have enough depth. I'm looking at the bench yesterday, and I know Zirkzee came on and did really, really well, and we'll talk about him in a moment. But apart from that, you've seen the likes of Anthony. Anthony saved them a goal yesterday, rather than
Yeah, they did a goal line clearance for them.
yeah, yeah. Like these are the players that we're bringing on, and this is why I always have kind of not beef, but like a bit of annoyance with Gary Neville when he's like, oh, he's going on about certain players and changing, and it's like it's hard because when you're going through a period like December and you're playing as many games as you are, and you know the current injury situation that we've had over the past couple of years, you don't want to risk players. But then at the same time, when you saw us play yesterday, Ugarte, Mainu, Mazraoui were knackered.
Yeah,
Absolutely, you can see it straight off. Mazraoui was knackered against Spurs in the Carabao Cup, and he's still not been rested since then. So fatigue's a massive issue as well, isn't it?
yeah, and some of these players played 120 minutes of football against
Mm,
Arsenal.
yeah,
So it had to have an effect. And we mentioned a lot about Mazraoui that he deserves a rest. He genuinely needs a rest because if you actually keep playing him for every single minute of every single game, it's inevitable that he won't pick up an injury. So we genuinely need to be cautious with these players, but we don't even have players to actually replace these guys on the field. It's a
no,
very thin squad, especially in certain positions. We are actually really, really thin. So I just wish that somehow I think Amorim is doing his best when it comes to, managing these sort of fatigue levels in this team. But even for a manager, it's really tough because if he
yeah,
looks at that team and goes, who can I play at left wing back or right wing back? And he's only got three options. And one of those options has picked up a red card against Arsenal. So his options go down even, no, even lower. So it's going to be tough, but I hope that we can go into games where we pull off convincing performances. We can finish off games early, so we can actually give some rest to these guys.
yeah. One player I think who a lot of fans, and including yourself and myself, would probably be interested to see, and maybe should have even started the game yesterday. I was saying on a pre-match with Zirkzee. Hojlund's time now feels like the window for him to maybe hit a bit of form's gone, and is it time for Zirkzee to step up now and take that mantle?
Yeah, because look, he's looked very sharp in the Arsenal game. What he did a real number on Saliba,
Yeah,
and I think ever since that penalty, his confidence has come back. You can see it whenever he's on the pitch as well. His body language looks a lot more positive than it did 3 to 4 weeks ago. And I've always said this: he's not a bad player. He's
no,
genuinely not a bad player. He's a very technical player. He's very good when it comes to, moving the ball around the box. He's a very good scanner of the ball. So there are traits to his game that we can actually really, really use. But also have to understand this is the player who is still adapting to a new system and as well as to a new league. And he's still fairly young. So, and he has shown us glimpses of what he can actually pull into this field. He's been on the nucleus of our attacks on a lot of occasions
yeah,
during Ten Hag's tenure. So I think now that he's getting that sort of confidence back, I think even he deserves a run of games where he's starting, and we need that sort of competition so that at least till the end of this season, Hoyland and Zirkzee can keep, actually keep pushing on each other because that's the only way you can get the best out of them. You've not got that veteran, experienced striker who both of these guys can learn off from.
yeah,
So the only way you get the best out of them is you got to push these guys, against each other, and that's how they get the best out of them. But Xerxes has looked good, and considering the sort of criticism he was facing a few weeks back, he's come back into the team with a lot of confidence, and this is something that all of us wanted to see. And we never know, maybe by the time the season ends, Xerxes looks like a completely different charged player to us. So there is still a lot of things that we need to look at. But right now, Xerxes has put himself higher in the pecking order in comparison to Hoyland.
yeah. The annoying thing for me yesterday when watching that game, and you've seen it a million times before in other games, we struggled to kind of progress through the ranks, right? It was a lot of it with the build up was kind of stagnant. It was kind of flat. Kept going back to Onana to delete back to Onana. I wouldn't be surprised if they had the most touches out of anyone in the game because it really we couldn't kind of break through. Southampton did really well in fairness to him in that. But then when we did decide to go long, Shreyas, Hojlund couldn't win it in the air. He couldn't bring it into feet. He couldn't link up play. He couldn't do anything. Every single time it went up to him, it failed. Basically, broke down. And as soon as Zirkzee came on, changed like that instantly, and he had an impact. And then you saw, because players around him start to believe, then we know he's going to take in the ball. They'll gamble on it. Do you know what I mean? They'll make that run because 9 times out of 10, what's happening is they'll play it into Hojlund, and they ain't gambling because he's like, we know what type of player he is. He won't be able to hold it up. We'll push up and then we'll get caught. So we can't take that risk. There's less risks involved with Zirkzee, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You can then flip that narrative on it. I didn't say, well, Brighton might press high up. They might leave a lot of space in behind, which they're known for doing that. So then can Rasmus exploit that? And he has scored against them before. That's the tricky situation you make as a manager.
The thing is, especially in football, I would say this: you never know who's going to score for you. You can look at all the records that there are probably out there, but I would say all those stats don't really guarantee you a player actually is getting you a goal, especially a player who hasn't been in that much of a great form in the past few games. And I think right now, with the way Amorim dictates his team, and with the way he actually makes his selections, I think his best bet right now would be to actually play off with Zirkzee and Ahmad being there, because they complement each other quite well. The way Zirkzee and
I
Ahmad
think
work,
so.
alongside each, they work quite well. Bruno also looks quite better whenever Ahmad is playing on that field. So if you can get the best out of these guys, like we've said, Bruno and Ahmad look quite comfortable playing alongside each other. We need someone in that number 9 position who can maintain that sort of fluidity alongside those 10s. So if Zirkzee can be the answer for us in that situation, then it's a win-win for all of us. Because right now, all we need is, I wouldn't even say a striker who gets us a goal every single week, but at least someone who can, help us maintain that sort of fluidity and that sort of coordination, especially when we are moving into the final third, because that is something that is really missing from our game.
It's mad, isn't it, when you look at the last time we played Brighton, it was the second game of the season, right? We played Fulham, and then we played Brighton and lost to him. And if you look at what happened in that game, a lot of individual mistakes, a lot of errors. I think I remember there was a cross into the box from Brighton. Maguire didn't clear it. He just kind of let it go past him, and then Matoma squared it. You had the situation with Garnacho where he hit Zirkzee, if you remember, where he went in.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Got given as offside, and Garnacho was like, fuck's sake. And then you had the situation where João Pedro back post, no one marking him whatsoever. They go and win the game. Hopefully, this one won't be as eventful as that one. But do you think it has the potential for that?
I'm still very concerned when it comes to defending of set pieces and corners. And right now, Brighton have got a player called Jorginho Rutter, I think, who plays in that team, and he's very, very dangerous, especially of set pieces.
Scored in the last game, against Ipswich.
Yeah. So we need to be genuinely at our game, especially of set pieces against Brighton, because they've got tricky players, like you mentioned, Matoma. João Pedro is always of trouble whenever he's on the field. So you need to be at your game. And apart from that as well, we know that we don't really have that much of a great record against Brighton. Brighton will be coming into this game with the intention of getting all the 3 points. So we need to play to our strengths. And we also need to Brighton are not a team that is known for their, defensive line. Brighton concede a lot of goals. I think they're probably one of the teams who have got the highest draw ratio this season with Fulham and Bournemouth. So they are not, I would say they're not an unbeatable team. They're a very beatable team, and you can cause a lot of trouble if you, play to your strengths. If you play your cards right, you can actually, be able to trouble Brighton a lot. The only thing is what sort of setup Amorim goes with when it comes to player selections, and how much our players are ready for this game. Because against Southampton, they were genuinely not there. I think a team with more quality would have been able to get the 3 wins, get the 3 points very easily against us.
Yeah, I agree. Right, let's dive into some stats then. So, None of the 15 Premier League meetings between United and Brighton have ended in a draw. Only Man United versus Wigan has been played more often without any draws in the competition's history. This is the sixth time Brighton have faced United in the Premier League, while above them in the league table, and the latest into a season they have done so, having lost the first two such matches. The Seagulls have now won each of the last three. They really do have a number on us when you look at the
Yeah.
head-to-heads, and they'll take confidence from that. However, this season, they've got the most draws in the league out of any team.
Mm.
They're drawing so many games. They concede as many as they score, which is obviously the reason why they're drawing so much. Welbeck is currently their top goal scorer on 6 goals, but they also, we know they have a lot of exciting talent around them, in your Matomas and João Pedros, etc. Someone who I wanted to pick out, Shreyas, is Carlos Baliba. Someone
Mm.
I'm really, really interested in. Bought for £20 million, 21 years old, great in the air, physically strong, good balance to his game in terms of defence and controlling the game, but can also score goals. Why is it they produce so many talents? It's annoying, isn't it?
They,
Like, the players that they bring through,
I-
it's ridiculous.
they are I think they've got the perfect people when it comes to scouting these sort of players, because every single year we say this, that Brighton have lost this player, Brighton have lost this player. It will be
Yeah,
difficult for them to cope up with the loss of these two major players leaving them. And somehow they've come up with a completely different player. They'll probably sign him for like 2 or 5 million, and he'll
yeah,
come in and be, like top five in the league when it comes to their positions, and end up going for like 80 to 100 mil. They lost McAllister, and the next season it didn't look like it bothered them that much. And considering the kind of job McAllister does for Liverpool and the kind of
yeah.
effect he had on Brighton's team as well, they're not easy players to replace. Like if we lose Mazraoui, I think it will take us at least 3 to 4 years just to find the right replacement for him. We'll be chopping and changing, chopping and changing. But Brighton are very good when it comes to these sort of signings, and they've got the perfect atmosphere for these sort of signings to work as well.
Mm,
We re- I think we need to be. That's why I always say this, that whether it's the January or whether it's even the summer market, it's not. I'm not concerned as much about the price. I'm concerned more about what sort of profile we bring and how much they can actually contribute towards the team. Because Baleba is someone who was rated very highly in France, but no one wanted to take a bet on him. Brighton did take a bet on him, and he's come in, and I'm sure whenever he does move, he'll be moving at least for 60 million or upwards.
mm.
So Brighton know how to do this sort of job, make the perfect replacements for the players they actually let go of, and we need to be able to be as smart as Brighton are, especially when it comes to signings. Because I, it is when it comes to signings, their hit and miss ratio is very very good. Like I think it's only like a couple of players who don't work, and 8 of them end up working out if they make
Yeah.
10 signings. So we need to take something out of their playbook and actually work it into our transfer structure as well, because even we've not got as much cash to work with.
It's tricky, isn't it? Because with Brighton, like you said, they have the platform to go on and play these kind of players. The pressure at United is a
Yeah.
million miles away from what it is at Brighton. But yeah, they've got a lot of talented individuals. They're also very good as a collective at specific things, and I've got a couple of metrics here to back that up. So Brighton, in this season so far, the pressures in the final third per game, the fourth. Counter pressures in the final third per game, the third. Press sequences, the third, and passes per defensive action, the third as well. You know what they try to do. They try to pin you down, and they can make it really, really awkward, and then have a lot of intensity when you're trying to play out from the back. Not needed. Consider two things, Shreyas, when you watched us yesterday. One, we was extremely leggy, and two, we
Yeah.
can be vulnerable playing out from the back at times.
Yes, we can be. And I think they'll be looking to target that in the first 20 minutes of the game itself.
Yes, yeah,
Catch us by surprise, get an early goal, you know, disrupt our rhythm going into the game itself. And even we've seen it on a lot of occasions that whenever we concede an early goal, especially at home, we do seem rattled. It
yeah.
takes us an entire half just to recover from it and wake up. So I think Brighton will come at it very strong. And I think it will be a very very solid test for us if we are actually able to get a good result against Brighton. I think it will be a big result, because this will be the first time where 4 games in and we are able to at least get positive results out of these games.
Yeah.
Since last season, I don't remember when we've gone on a run of like 4 or even 5 games and get positive results.
What players? Just the last question on Brighton. What players would you take from their team for our system specifically? Who do you think would work in it for you?
I think Estupinian for sure, because we need a natural attacking left back in our squad. So he's someone who I would look at. A Dingra is someone who I would look at as well, because I think as an inside 10, the kind of legwork he brings when it comes to pressing, and once again, he's also that sort of a creative playmaker in that sort of team. So I think Adingra would be someone who can work. Estupinian can work. Baleba can surely work alongside
Yeah.
Ogate. I think both of them, they'll be a menace to actually get for, be able to
Yeah.
break down. But
Talk
yes,
about
they've
legs
got
in the
really
midfield with
talented
those
players.
two, innit? Okay, now.
Could do with Joao Pedro as well up top.
Yeah. He's the floater as well, and he could play inside tens. It's similar to Cunha a little bit.
Exactly.
Very
Yeah.
flexible, so there's quite a few of them would probably take. Ones to watch for you, one from Brighton, one from United, and why?
From United, I'll say Ahmad and
Yeah.
Bruno. I think when it comes to Brighton, Mitoma will be a lot of trouble. Mitoma will be genuinely a lot of trouble. And Rutter.
Especially if Euro will start. I don't think Euro will start, but against Slimani yesterday, oh my, he got cooked, mate. He got absolutely cooked. So
It was a tough game for him.
very tough. He
Yeah.
struggled.
So that's why I think it will be back to Maguire, De Ligt, and Martinez.
Yes, I
just
agree.
for that reason.
Yeah.
So I think Mitoma will be an issue, and I think Rutter from the bench. I think whenever he comes off as an impact sub from the bench, he brings a lot of energy. And offset pieces, he'll be someone you need to be careful about.
Okay, keep an eye out for that, people. For me, for United, I've gone either Ahmad or Garnacho because I was talking about the pressures and final third from Brighton. They do leave space in behind. So I think them two can exploit it if they do start. I'm sure Ahmad will. I'm not sure about Garnacho. Southampton, not Southampton, but yeah, I've still got them on my mind. Brighton, Welbeck always scores against us. So he is someone who I would keep an eye on. 5 quick fire questions for you, Shreyas, and for the people who are currently watching. Make sure you get them in the comments. One person who should definitely be dropped for this game.
Hojlund.
Who will get an assist?
Bruno.
Something you can definitely see happening in this game.
Conceding off a set piece.
Yes. Well, that just answers my next question, which was, will we concede from a corner? So you double answered it there. Yes. And prediction for man of the match.
Zirkzee.
Oh, that was a thinker, that, wasn't it? Proper
Yeah.
thinker.
I'll bang on him.
I'm just going to go with a tap in and say Ahmad, just because he's been sensational.
Of course.
Of course. Right, let's get into starting 11s then. You're first up, Shreyas. Talk me through your team, brother.
Yeah, I think first for me, I think in goal it's Onana. Made a very good double save against Southampton.
Amazing.
Luckily, we didn't actually go 3-0 or 2-0 down by the end of the first half. So I think Onana keeps his spot. I think it will be Maguire back. It will be De Ligt and Martinez. I think Euro had a bit of a tough time. I'm sure we'll see Euro get some minutes in the game, but I think he'll be given a rest. I think it'll be back to the 3 centre backs that played for us against Arsenal. Then I think as wing backs, because Dallo is not going to be available, I think it's going to be again Ahmad and Mazraoui. Hopefully, Mazraoui can be rested after the first half itself. We can pull off certain, a kind of performance like that. But I think those are the only options that you're left with when it comes to wing back. So
is Dallo's available in there?
I'm not sure.
I'm sure Dallo's available. That's why I've put him in my team. Because he picked up a red card in the FA Cup, wasn't it? So I'm sure you miss a game in the Premier League, and then I don't know. We'll look into it. If anyone knows, put it in the comments. But we'll see what happens anyway. Sorry.
Yeah.
Continue.
I think it will be Ogate and Meno starting in that midfield. Maybe you can put Collier in as a surprise package to start, but I think it will still be Ogate and Meno. Collier has looked good in the past few appearances that he's made, so you never know. I think it will be Garnacho and Bruno as those inside 10s, and I think Zirkzee definitely deserves a start in this game.
Yes, for sure. I think there'll be a lot of raised eyebrows if Hojlund starts again. But look, this is Ruben Amorim. It's his decisions, I suppose. I've just made a couple of tweaks. So first and foremost, I don't know why on your graphic I put Maguire on the right-sided centre half. He'll obviously be the central one and delete over there. So
Yeah.
apologies about that. But I've gone for the same back four in terms of Martinez, Maguire, delete, and Onana. I put Dalot at left wing back because I thought he was back, but I'm not entirely sure. I think Mizraoui desperately needs a rest. He looks so think how much we was raving about him for the first 3 months, how good he was. His legs are just he needs a game
Yeah,
off.
he needs a rest.
Desperately.
He needs a rest.
Ahmad, I would keep at wing back because I feel like he had a really good performance, and it allows him space. Garnacho, and Bruno, I would keep in the attacking tens, and then Zirkzee up top, and then the midfield I've gone Mainu Nugate, but again, I wouldn't mind seeing. I was going to go with Collier as well, even Collier and Ericsson as a bit of a change or something, but I don't think he'll change that much. I think he'll want to keep him in middle and maybe take him off half time, 60 minutes in potentially. But they're the players that I've gone with. Right, let's get back into score predictions and such. What are you going with for this game, Mr. Singh?
1-1.
You've gone the exact same prediction as what I've gone with. 1-1. Yeah, you can just see it, can't you? Brighton draw a lot of games. Yeah. We are at home, but we've been shit at home. You know, I don't know. Brighton are a good team.
Just coming off a very tough game.
Yeah.
Players are already knackered, so I can see a 1-1 return.
Do you know what? I'm even going to change mine live. I say live, it's a pre-record, but live whilst I'm doing it, I'm going to change it to Brighton 2-1. I think I know Ahmad did amazingly well. He got a 12-minute hat-trick, but for 80 minutes of that game, Southampton were comfortably the better team than us at home. Yeah. Brighton are a better team than Southampton, and they'll cause more problems, and they'll finish more chances. So I think we lose this game 2-1, but yeah, hopefully we don't. Let us know what you think, guys, in the comments section. Give us your teams, get involved in the quick-fire questions, and more importantly, your score predictions as well. We are going to be live for this game on Sunday, of course, pre-match and post-match, so hopefully we'll see you guys there. But apart from that, this has been a preview for the game against Brighton at Old Trafford. Me and Shreyas will see you guys in the next one, people. Take it easy. See you in a bit.